There. Oh, it's working. The remote's working finally.
Oh, and the zoom ins too.
Mhm. Hey Jenny, how's it going? Can you hear me? Oh, she's not on. All right, everyone, welcome to the Peer Support Echo. We're gonna go ahead and get started. I know some peers will sign on a couple minutes late, which is fine. We always are busy with clients. We'll do introductions in a moment, but just a couple of housekeeping things. This is recorded. We don't post them publicly, but if you want a copy of the recording, then I can send that out to you, but just so you know, it is recorded. We do offer one free CE for signing on to the Peer Support Echo. That does mean that you have to stay signed on for the full hour. So we understand things come up with clients and we have to step away, but just know in order to get that certification, you do have to be signed on the full time. So let's go ahead and do introductions. And also if you have somebody else in the room with you, that's awesome. Just please email me their information so I can add them to the listserv and we can send them a survey, and so we can just stay in touch with them. I'm Lucia Diaz-French. For those of you who don't know me, I'm the Education and Prevention Coordinator at Wayside Recovery Center. I'm also a certified peer recovery specialist, and I currently work for Recovery doing peer work. So now we'll just go around do introductions. Know that you are muted upon signing on. So if at any point you also want to sign on and ask a question, just go ahead and unmute yourself. Or if you aren't able to unmute, you can chat in the chat box your question, and somebody in the room here with me will read that off. Lacey, are you able to unmute yourself and introduce yourself?
Can everyone hear me?
Yep, you're great.
Okay, I'm Lacey Sperling, and I work at Minnesota Recovery Connection.
Awesome, we're glad you're here, Lacey. Thanks for signing on. Sherry is in the room here with me.
Hello, I'm from Wayside. I work at Wayside.
She's on the other side. Amber, do you want to unmute and introduce yourself and anybody with you in the room?
My name's Amber. I work at Face It Together in Bemidji. Lee Torgerson. I work at Face It Together in Bemidji also.
Also, Amber, what's your last name just so we can check you off for attendance?
Amber Whelan.
Thanks, Amber. All right, thanks you both for being here. Tiffany with your sunglasses. Would you want to introduce yourself?
They took the glasses, watch. I'm Tiffany Irvin. I am a certified peer recovery specialist. I'm also the manager of peer services at MRC. I also supervise the Mobile SUDS team, secretary of the Peer Support Alliance, and then I also work as a recovery specialist at Tapestry.
Awesome. Thanks for being here, Tiff.
Thanks.
Nisi, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. If you want to unmute yourself. Here, I can unmute you. You're all muted now. Nisi, we're having a little bit of trouble hearing you. If you want, you can go ahead and chat in the box your information. If that'll work for you that way. Jonda, do you want to go ahead and unmute yourself and introduce yourself?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, I'm Jonda. I am a recovery navigator and a recovery coach for Minnesota Recovery Connection.
I'll find it. Great. Rebecca, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Rebecca Buller. I work here at Wayside and I'm just here to help.
All right. Hillary, you're up.
Hi everyone, Hillary Ashford. I work for Direct Care and Treatment with Minnesota, currently located at a community behavioral health hospital in Rochester, working as a certified peer support specialist. Yeah, that's what I have.
Awesome. Thanks, Hillary. Ben, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Ben from Thief River Falls, Minnesota. I am a peer support specialist and rehab worker for community-based services as well as a Northern Light Church facility.
All right, thanks for being here. Kathleen B chatted in her information. Katie's a certified peer recovery specialist at Wayside Recovery Center. Ashley, do you want to introduce yourself?
Oh, hi, I'm Ashley. I work for Minnesota Recovery Connections in the Mobile Suds department. It's great to meet all of you finally.
Awesome. Thanks for being here. Carrie's iPhone. Do you want to introduce yourself? Okay, Carrie, feel free to chat your information into the group chat. Jenny, do you want to introduce yourself?
At Oasis Program located in Golden Valley, and I am a certified peer specialist.
Awesome, Jenny. Thanks for signing on. I'll get that. Chris, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hello, I'm Christopher Lee Falk. I'm currently independent, but I'm a peer recovery specialist / prevention professional. Well, I actually got switched to prevention specialist as well now with DHS, but yeah, that's me.
Awesome. Glad you're here, Chris.
Yeah.
Okay, and then last but not least, Alyssa, if you want to sign on, or sorry, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Alyssa Bren. I'm a project coordinator at Minnesota Recovery Connection.
Awesome. Glad you're here. All right. So today, looking at our agenda, Jenny, who introduced herself, is going to do a case presentation. And generally how we do this is when we ask peers to present a client, we ask them to just give some basic information. It can be a current client they're working with, a previous client, and then we share feedback. And we share feedback in a supportive way, in a helpful way. We talk about what was successful. We talk about maybe what we would do differently. But we find that this is really helpful, also a good time to share resources. If you have insight into tools or organizations in your community that could be helpful to this client or support for the peer as well, then we want to offer space to open that up. Just as when we're in our staff meetings, we have counselors who case clients, we wanted to make this space for peers to do that as well. So Jenny's going to present today, and if you want to present in the future, please email me. I have a format I can send you. It's super easy. And then you just do a brief consultation, and we're going to share feedback. So Jenny, I'm going to pass it off to you if you want to take it away.
Wonderful. Thank you very, very much. Like I said, I am a certified peer specialist. The client that I will be talking about is a 44-year-old female, and the significant aspect in this case was that we used creative problem solving, and the major barriers for this client were setting boundaries, maintaining boundaries, learning to say no, and working on personal hygiene. This client did not have any alcohol or drug issues. This client came to us with post-traumatic stress disorder, schizoaffective disorder, bipolar type, major depression, and struggles with food, specifically with overeating. And this client used a walker. She had arthritis, fibromyalgia, and chronic pain conditions. So she had a lot of things going on. As far as her extended family, she had a brother that had a schizophrenia diagnosis, along with a sister-in-law with a schizophrenia diagnosis. And she had a cousin that she was very, very close to, and then aunts and uncles that she would see during holidays. I would say the top goals for the client was to go to some type of living situation where she would have more support. And right away, we thought, yes, going to some adult foster care might be the best accommodation for her. However, her family and her cousin wanted her to keep her apartment where she lived with her best friend. And they just thought, they kept telling her, you don't need to live in a house with other people. You're doing just fine in an apartment with your best friend. But when she came to us, she was very depressed, and she was very, very certain that she needed more help and that she could not live and function independently, even though she had a roommate. And it became very clear when she was at Oasis that indeed she did need more assistance to be successful. And so she would meet with her counselor, and then their goals basically were to eventually go to an adult foster care, to establish and improve boundaries, to improve personal hygiene, to have more proactive and independent living skills, and to find a rep payee. When she lived in the apartment, she did have PT at a place called Courage Penny, and she did use Metro Mobility. As far as the foster care, when she was at Oasis with us, she learned how to do her laundry. And at first she said, well, I can't do my own laundry. My cousin would do my laundry. And so I would assist her and show her, well, let's learn how to do the laundry together. And it took just a few times, and then she got used to doing the laundry. And she would just sit on her walker and put the clothes in, learn how to put the soap in, learn how to figure out the machine. And she said she would often say, well, this laundry is so heavy, I can't put it in the dryer. And I'd say, well, then take one piece of clothing at a time. Oh, well, that's going to take too long. And I said, you know what? You have the laundry on Tuesdays and Fridays. You have this, 3 hours. So you have plenty of time and you can do it. I know you can. And so with encouragement, she was able to do it. And we quickly realized that she was a little manipulating. I think her cousin and her roommate and other people did quite a bit for her. And so she learned that she could do things for herself. As far as at Oasis, we have a table and clients go through the line and get food for themselves. And she would, at first she'd say, oh, can you get me some carrots and some pasta and spaghetti and maybe 2 pieces of garlic bread? And I said, well, yes, I can do that, but I'm not going to. use your walker and we will get in line. And she said, well, oh, that's so much walking. And I said, you can do it. I know you can do it. Plus, I want you to choose what foods look good to you. You know, here we all get our own food. You can do it. I said, you can do it. And of course she did. She did just fine. This client also, we realized, loved butter. And in the morning, she would have six pieces of toast with butter. And so our chef, our cook, talked to her about a healthy diet and talked to her about healthy carbs, healthy choices. And so he every day would cut the butter in half and just put half of the butter out. And so some days when she would come down for breakfast, there might be a little butter because everybody sometimes would use butter. And she would say, oh, we're out of butter. And he'd say, oh, okay, well, can you get more out? And he'd say, no, we just use one stick of butter. But you know, there's a little peanut butter if you want to put some out. And so she learned that really 1 or 2 pieces of toast is enough. And so she learned to not scrape a whole butter for herself on the 6 pieces of toast. And so she really learned how to eat, what a portion was. We'd get half a cup and she'd fill it with vegetables and then put it on her plate. You might think, boy, that's kind of harsh, but she was eating for 4, at least 4 people, and it wasn't healthy. And she was to the point where she was having trouble walking. So living at Oasis, she actually lost about 26 pounds. And she got to the point where she was really excited for herself and happy with herself and realized I was eating too much. And so it was really exciting to see her be successful and be happy with herself and realize I can make good choices. And I was eating way too much. So that was pretty neat. As far as boundaries, we worked with this client on advocating for herself. One example I'll share is this client was a smoker. There's no smoking inside of Oasis, but you can smoke out in the backyard. No vaping is allowed, but you may smoke cigarettes out in the backyard only. And she would bring her pack of cigarettes outside, and every day there would be certain people that would say, oh, can I have one of your cigarettes? I'm out. And she'd give a cigarette. And then later on, another person would come, oh, can I bum a cigarette off of you? And she, being a very nice person, would say, oh, sure, here you go. And then another person would come, oh, I just ran out. Can I, when I get new cigarettes, I'll give you some cigarettes back. Can I borrow 3? Well, pretty soon, she's running out of cigarettes, and it's starting to bother her. And then there was another young lady that asked her, could I borrow $10? I'm going to Walmart, and I don't have any money. And so she gave her some money. And anyhow, one day she was outside smoking by herself, and she was crying. And I said, oh, can I sit with you? What's going on? And she told me how a couple of the clients were asking for cigarettes, and she was giving them cigarettes and this person money, and they weren't giving her cigarettes back. She wasn't getting paid back. And she was getting really upset. And I asked her, I asked her, may I ask you a question? She said, sure. And I said, well, why are you giving people money and cigarettes? And she thought about it and she said, well, I want them to like me. If I don't give them money or cigarettes, I'm afraid they're going to get mad at me. And I don't want people to be mad at me. I want them to be my friends. And so we talked about friendship. We talked about what does it mean to give somebody a present, somebody a loan, somebody a gift. And I asked her, with her permission, a few more open-ended questions, like, do you expect that people will give you cigarettes back when you loan them cigarettes? And she said, well, yeah, I do. And I said, what would happen if they don't give you cigarettes back? What does that mean? And she said, well, it must mean they don't like me. And so, it was just heartbreaking because she's crying and she said, I feel like they're using me. So for a couple days, we had this discussion and I said to her, we need to put on our thinking cap and come up with a creative way that you can keep your cigarettes, that the other clients can still be your friends, but that you can smoke your cigarettes for yourself. Because did you buy the cigarettes for the whole house to smoke them? And she said, no, they're for me. And I said, say that again. They're for me. I said, that's right, sister. So we sat down and we came up with the idea when she comes, in the morning, she has a cigarette and then she goes to 9 o'clock group. After 9 o'clock group, she goes outside and she has another cigarette and then she goes to her room. So I said to her, I'm wondering about that pack of cigarettes. What about if you left the cigarette pack in your room? You have one before group and one after. How many is that? She said 2. I said, okay, so how many might you bring down? She said, I'll bring 2 down and leave the cigarettes up there. I said, that's right. And I said, so you'll have 2 cigarettes. Now, if you're down there smoking your cigarette and somebody asks you, oh, can I get a cigarette from you? And you have 2, one for you before group, one for you after, what would you say? And she said, well, I'll tell them, nope, these are for me, one before group and one after. And I said, yeah. I said, now I'm going to keep asking you throughout the day if I can have a cigarette. And she said, yeah, but you don't smoke, Jenny. I said, I know, but I'm going to practice with you. And so throughout the day, her counselor and other staff would come out and say, oh, can I bum a cigarette off of you? And she'd say, nope, these are for me. No, these are mine. And when I was out there, another client came out and said, oh, can I bum a cigarette from you? And she said, oh, no, these 2 are for me, one for before group, one for after. And he said, oh, okay. And he just walked away and went back inside. And so she was just beaming. So she did that, and then she did that with the money too. She learned to say no. And she got burned one time because one of the clients she loaned money to ended up going back to the hospital. And she said, well, when is she going to pay me back my money? And I said, I don't know. And the client that went back to the hospital did not come back to our Oasis Earths. And then she realized, I'm not going to get that money back. And that made her really upset. And so she learned a lesson. I'm not loaning money to anybody because I might not get it back. So sometimes you have to learn hard lessons. And boy, did that make her mad. I'll just mention 2 or 3 other things quickly here.
Yeah, because I want to make sure that we have time for feedback, Jenny. Just a couple minutes. So if you want to maybe present just like a minute more, and then we can just share some feedback before we just move on to the next thing. Thank you, Jenny.
Yep. The third thing was her hygiene was not good. So we had to work with her. She had nocturnal enuresis and encopresis. So basically, she wore adult diapers 24/7. She would hide her dirty diapers in her closet, in her drawers. And so we had to work with her on putting them in her garbage in her room and taking them out right away. We had to work with her on trying to shower. So basically, we started out, she would shower the days she had doctor's appointments, which was like 3 days a week. And as we worked and worked and worked, that was hard for her. Residents started complaining that she smelled. And so her counselor had to tell her, people can smell you. People are commenting, that sometimes you smell like urine. And it's because you're not washing. And so we got her some feminine wipes and showed her how to wash if she wasn't going to take a shower. We had to remind her repeatedly to take a shower and wash herself. And so she did that showered about 3 times a week. She ended up in adult foster care, and she found a rep KE, and I'm sure she's doing very, very well. And then what I can do is I have some encounter notes that I can send just to give people as a, just as examples of what we wrote, like staff encouraged client to stop giving money and cigarettes away to other people. Staff encouraged client to turn in her debit card. Staff encouraged client to shower and change clothes. Client identified that she would shower after she did her chores. Things like that. So anyhow, so open for feedback.
Yeah, if you want to send that to me, that would be great. Thank you, Jenny, so much for presenting. We'll give you some snaps. I've presented too, so I know that people can be a little nerve-wracking talking about our clients and the work we've done. So with that in mind, I think for feedback, let's start off thinking about what things Jenny and her team did well that we all really support and we connected with, and things that we want to point out that we want to cheer on. Anything come to mind for anybody? And remember to unmute yourself if you want to share or chat in the box. Well, Jenny, I'll start. One thing that came to mind is that I think I like the way that you had a conversation with the client about friendship. When she's talking about cigarettes and you realize it's more than the cigarettes, it's about the friendship. And so you had a conversation with her, like the client, what does friendship mean to you? And like really doing that. And also, yeah, Katie, I see that you chatted and doing your role play with her about the cigarettes. I think it's really cool that you had the whole team sign on to do that role play, that everybody got on board with this idea of how can we practice these skills, and you have the whole team doing that over and over to help her.
Thank you.
Does anybody else have thoughts about anything they thought was really successful that they want to take back and do with their clients? Is there anything that other peers here would have done differently, or other ideas that they maybe would have brought to the table in terms of the nutrition part or the hygiene? Is there anything that other peers have suggestions of things that they would have tried out? Chris, do you want to, oh, Chris, giving her options so she had an investment. Spot on. Yeah, I agree, Chris. Giving her ways that she can say yes or no and finding her own motivation. Are there any other resources that peers could think of for the client? One thing that came to mind for me, Jenny, was if nutrition classes would have been helpful for the client, if she could have met with somebody and come up with like a meal plan or nutrition plan. And I know it's different when you're in a facility, but maybe for when she was in the foster care. Finally, I think a good question for case consultation is, does anybody think there are additional ways that the peer could be supported? It sounds like, Jenny, you really had your team at your back, which is really nice. And I also wonder, is there any other way, Jenny, that you felt you could have been more supported, or that, is there anything else that for you as a peer would have been more helpful?
Well, you know, a lot of times I just go with what the clients are telling me. I don't have a lot of, besides our Wednesday meeting with our whole staff, I don't have a lot of interaction with the counselors. You know, that would be nice, but I really do a lot with the clients, so I kind of go with what the clients tell me.
Yeah, I think that's great. I think that's part of being a peer, is like advocating for what the client wants. Lacey, I like your comment too, as far as the showers go. I would have told her that'll make her feel good and help her relax, so that it's not just about hygiene, it's also about self-care, and it's helpful for the client in more ways than one.
Yep.
Well, Jenny, thank you so much for presenting this client. I think it was really interesting. She was a really interesting client for you to share with today.
Oh, my pleasure.
Again, if anybody else wants to present a client in the future, just email me. The next thing on our agenda today is I was sent a video called Hearing Our Voices, Peer Support and Mental Illness. It's about 15 minutes long. And it's a woman who started a peer mental health program at her college as a result of what she went through. So I'm going to pull that up just for us to view, and then we will do announcements, and then we will just close. So just give me one moment here while I pull that up for us.
Lucia, we can't hear you.
Are people having trouble hearing the video?
Yeah,
You
I
are?
can't hear it.
I wonder why. Huh.
Do they get their sound on? It says no one can hear the video.
I'm not sure why. It should be able to work because we're sharing this. Sorry guys, I'm not sure why you can't hear it. Normally when we share the screen this way, it should be fine. You should be able to hear the video. Yeah. Well, I would definitely, I mean, I sent the link in the agenda, so I would definitely recommend watching it. She goes to college and she has her own struggles with mental illness. And as a result of that, she starts this whole peer mental health program and advocates it throughout her whole college. So it's pretty powerful how she does all of that work just based on her experience, just like all of us have done. So it's in the agenda, so I definitely would recommend watching that. So I guess for now, we're just gonna move on to announcements. I have some, and then we'll open it up for any of you. If you have announcements about events in your community, job openings, anything like that, this is a really great place to share. And then I will do my best to send them back out to everybody. So a couple of things I have here. Women's Advocates in St. Paul, they're a resource they are actually a shelter for women who are survivors of domestic violence. They recently put together a Twin Cities resource hub. It's this document that offers national and local domestic violence and sexual violence resources. So it has information about organizations and shelters and locations. It's just a document that's online that you can share with your clients, you can share with staff. So I will send that out to people to follow up with. American Indian Family Center is hiring a peer recovery specialist full-time, and the pay is $35,000 to $42,000 a year. Recovery Community Network and Sobriety First Treatment Center is hosting a New Year's Eve party from 8 to midnight in St. Cloud. Justice Point is hiring a part-time certified peer recovery specialist, $25 an hour. Tiffany, do you want to talk about the opening that you have with the Mobile Suds team? I think I'm going to have Tiffany come back to that. Hillary, do you want to talk about the event that you are inviting peers to?
Sure, absolutely. So, like I said before, I currently work for the state of Minnesota in direct care and treatment. My position is also supported through a union. I am actually a member of the AFSCME union, and what that's done for me is provided me that extra support during the employment. I've reached out to them on several different occasions. I got more involved with my local and was introduced to the Council of Five up in St. Paul. Through that process, I was invited to a health summit, behavioral health summit. The first one that I attended was back on the 20th of November. And through follow-up conversation after that with some of the members, they seem very interested in hearing individual stories, lived experience. And one of the members had asked if there were more people like me willing to share their stories, more people in the peer community. And I had to think about it for a second, put on the spot, but definitely we're so widespread. And I told him that I would do my best to see if anybody was interested. But one of the things that really moved me is I walked into this summit, and there are all different types of professions there, and they all seem so interested in making a difference. The reason why the coalition was formed is because they're wanting to unite and advocate for higher standards, better services, better working conditions for those affected by mental health, chemical health, behavioral health. So this is definitely an opportunity for us to join together to create, and also it's an opportunity to word about what peer services are and how we can be useful in the lives of others. One of the experiences that I found while working here at the state, I went from a recovery community organization to working in a hospital setting. And there seems to be a lot of educational opportunities available for us to be present, for us to utilize the tools that we've been given. And I think that this is awesome that they're actually reaching out and wanting us to be a part of this. So the next one is going to be on January 18th. It is the flyer I have here says 12 to 5, but I saw another one that said 9 to 5. I'll double check to get the correct time. It is a Saturday event. The last one that was on the 20th was during the middle of the week. And I think this one's gonna have a little bit more impact because to show up on a weekend for a AFSCME summit, I think it shows a lot of passion in making a difference. So I'm looking forward to being there. I'm hoping that we can get a bunch of us together to kind of go there and then also spread out while we're there to talk and give our stories of hope and encouragement to others and how we can be useful in the system.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Hillary. And Hillary did send me that information, so I'll go ahead and send that out to people as well in the list. And if you find like an updated information, Hillary, just send it my way.
Absolutely.
Katie chatted in, let's see. Faces and Voices of Recovery has a free webinar on Tuesday the 17th from 2 to 3 called Expanding Access to Recovery, Sustaining the National Peer Recovery Support Services Infrastructures. And you can go to the website to find that. Thank you, Katie. Does anybody have other community updates or things happening in their area that they want to share with peers? Okay, so I guess we'll end a little bit early today because of that video mishap, and I will look into those technical difficulties so we can figure that out for next time. The last thing I want to touch upon is that going forward with our Peer Echo, we have changed the format just a little bit. We're going to rotate the peer domain so that every month we're focusing on one domain. So we'll rotate being mentoring and education, recovery support, advocacy, ethical responsibility, and then we'll just continue to rotate through those domains. So on one session of Thursday of the month, we're going to do a case presentation, which will have one of you guys volunteering. And on another Thursday of that month, we'll have an expert presenter, somebody who can come in and really speak to what is mentoring and education for peers or what is advocacy for peers. So we'll send out that schedule, and also just keep in mind if you want to present a client, then you can pick a month if you want to do related to a specific topic. I will send out a follow-up survey either today or tomorrow about the Echo for today, and then you can fill that out. Let me know if you want a continuing education certificate. Let me know if I don't have your contact information. And then we don't have an Echo, another one this month in December. So our next Echo is actually going to be January 9th. So we hope that everyone has a great holiday and a great new year. And I will send out some follow-up information later on. So thanks for signing on, everybody, and take care.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Sean Marie, at the very